I saw this video come up on my YouTube recommended list and I thought it'd be fun to do a reaction video. The video we're gonna watch together is How the Most Expensive Nannies in the World Train. So Expensive by Business Insider. I know a little bit based on the thumbnail that it's about the Norland nannies in the UK, and I do know something about these nannies and their training. Kate in our office, who's the placement manager, she lived and worked in the UK for a nanny agency, and she saw Norland nannies come in through their agency on a regular basis and says as soon as they came in, they were hired within 24 hours. So I'm excited to see a little bit more about their training. Let's dive right into it.
These are among the most exclusive and highly trained nannies in the world.
Ready, here we go.
They learn self-defense and advanced driving techniques. And even their cooking skills are a cut above.
We're sort of training a league of super nannies.
Think Mary Poppins with a little James Bond.
Now I know what you're thinking. Cooking and driving lessons, that's not part of a nanny's job, but these nannies are a whole nother level with years of schooling, which hopefully they'll talk about, and working for some really high-end families. So let's have a look at a little bit more.
The course at Norland College in England cost them $21,000 a year. But after graduation, they can command salaries of $170,000.
Now, we did another video that talked about over $100,000 a year nannies and how hard it was to find great nannies and what it takes to be a great nanny. I'll even put the video up there. But imagine going to school for 4 years, paying $21,000, that's going to be pounds, I'm guessing, a year, and then being able to get those salaries. I really think a little bit that's what's missing in the nanny industry when we talk about respect for what the job is and that it's actual career and not just something you do in between university years or on a break.
That's 4 times the average nanny salary in the UK. Britain's royal family has even hired them. So,
of course, there's the 170K. The British royal families hired them. I've seen them in pictures all over the UK. Their uniforms really stand out. So you know they're working for the cream of the crop.
What does it take to become one of the most exclusive nannies in the world? Trained to protect themselves and the children in their care, Norland nannies are part of an elite. Often working for high-profile employers, they're expected to deal with potential threats, like kidnap attempts.
Unfortunately, I have had an experience where a man tried to take the little girl that I used to look after. I said, "You need to give her back," and he said, "No," and so I just had to pull her off of him whilst holding the buggy where her baby brother was.
Can you imagine having to protect a child? Have any of you ever had to protect a child from a kidnapping? That's so stressful. There's enough stressful things in a nanny's job to do with falling and injury, choking. I can't imagine having to protect a child from kidnapping. That's a whole nother level. Hopefully there's security around and really it's their job. But having some self-defense isn't a bad thing. The world is changing. It is a scary place, and being able to protect yourself and the child you care for, probably not a bad idea.
It is scary, but that's why I think parents hire Norland, just because we are given that extensive training for these worst case scenarios, because actually the big wide world is very scary and you are looking after their most prized possession.
Look at that. The big wide world is very scary. Just what I said.
No. Shake it. Your hands are shaking.
You've got the adrenaline.
In the career they've chosen,
No!
a lot of them don't realise what they're capable of. But after getting them into this, they really do come out themselves.
It takes 4 years to become a fully qualified Norland nanny. 3 years of study, followed by a year's placements with a family. And it's more expensive than studying at Oxford or Cambridge University. But the idea is that their qualification will soon start paying off.
I can see how it would be more expensive than a large university because they're offering many different courses and many different things. Here is just training nannies, so it's more like a private education, which does tend to be more expensive. So I can see the need for that cost. And really, nannies can get very high salaries when they're out of the school, so it's worth the investment in your future.
Within a year, they're actually averaging about 40,000 a year.
Okay, I spoke too soon. 40,000 a year isn't that much here in Canada or the US, but I think from what I understand from Kate in our office, their income rises very quickly after graduation. So that might be the first job, but then it rises extremely quickly because of their degree.
So that's a young person in their early 20s, probably earning more money than perhaps an up-and-coming accountant or lawyer. With the nannies earning that kind of money, skills like cooking and sewing have to be at the highest level.
When I was on my residential placement, the family had such a varied diet. They were really into like satay chicken, and we had lemongrass chicken a lot, so a lot of panes and flavours, and it was really nice to see.
So you place your nori with the shiny side down.
These third-year students are learning how to make child-friendly sushi.
And then you're using the bamboo mat to roll your sushi up.
Okay, a couple of things there. First of all, her sushi rolling technique is horrible. I've made a lot of sushi. I've taken sushi courses. That's not how you roll it. You don't roll it. It gets all encompassed. Anyway, that's a whole nother video. But the other thing is, I know a lot of nannies feel that cooking is not their job. And so why would they offer cooking? But the reality is, when you're working for high-end families, these families, the children don't want just chicken nuggets and French fries thrown in the oven from a freezer bag. They are used to sophisticated tastes, which is what that nanny was saying, that her family's used to satay and different flavors that she wasn't used to. So being exposed to a lot of culinary techniques and flavors is really beneficial when we're working for a whole host of high net worth families.
Don't enjoy cooking, to be honest, and so the lessons have been really, really helpful for myself, as I am not a confident cook.
The students do 3 years of sewing with us alongside their BA, and they work through a series of 6 projects developing their machine and hand sewing skills. It could be just doing name labels and buttons of things that every family or all families need, but going on to making things for their charges. Their children might have ideas and they'll make things with them or for them.
Can you imagine being able to make the children's Halloween costume? I have never been a great sewer, and I could definitely use this myself. I know, again, we're back to these are not my job responsibilities as you think of them in Canada and the US traditionally. But the reality is you should be able to sew a button on, to mend a pair of pants, if a hem comes out, to be able to put those back on. Those are hugely beneficial skills for the families and for you to have to give the families. And a lot of parents can't do those things, and if you can step in and do them, amazing.
Is it undoable or not?
I hope so.
Bouncy. But this
Wow, look at that pram. That's all I gotta say. We'll wait to see what she says.
carriage pram would take a child up to about 2.5 years of age. So do we remember what this is called?
That's the apron.
The apron, absolutely. And you don't use that when you're inside because it could make the baby too hot.
The students also learn how to prepare an old-fashioned pram.
Remember, with carriage prams, you don't have to do hospital corners, but you just want to make it as tidy and neat as you possibly can in the pram.
So Northern nannies still use these today in college and in the workplace.
Remember, attention to detail is really important, so make that look neat and tidy.
Okay, so it might be time to update that a little bit. I understand that in the UK and with royal family, they still use a pram until the kids are a couple years old, but that's just not true if other people are traveling there. So that might be a little outdated, but I think the information still holds true, just keeping it really clean and tidy and everything folded and neat. Not bad advice in general.
But Principal Dr. Janet Rose wants to modernise the image both of the college and of the nannying profession. Knowing how to control a car in skid is just one of the skills a modern-day Norland nanny can offer clients.
I do think that's a good skill. I talk to a lot of nannies who drive, but tell me they're not comfortable driving with the children in the car. So some defensive driving and learning how to drive in rain and snow could be hugely beneficial.
Norland College was founded by Emily Ward nearly 130 years ago. Her aim was to encourage a better and more educated class of women to enter the ranks of domestic service.
So here we have the very first probationists, all the way back in 1892, the very first students at Norland. And here we have a photograph of one of our Norlanders who worked for the Greek royal family.
Back then, nannies had to wear nurses' uniforms to differentiate themselves from the household servants. Puffed sleeves and pinafores were replaced over time by a modest beige dress, brown bowler hat and brogues, and white cotton gloves.
No, thank you, is all I can say to that. A couple weeks ago, I'll put it up there, we did how to dress as a nanny or nanny outfit do's and don'ts. I cannot imagine wearing gloves, that dress, the hat, even those shoes is just not my style, and I would be so uncomfortable in it. But I also understand that being a Norland nanny comes with a sense of pride, and it is something very, you've been successful if you've graduated from there, so you want to show that you have. At the same time, I would be more comfortable in a different style. And I think if you got the Norland education in the UK and then came back to Canada or the US, you probably don't have to wear it. But I actually don't know that for sure.
Nannies are still required to be immaculate and abide by strict rules.
Okay, before we go on, did you see how she pulled her hair up and then put her hat on? If I did that to my hair, when I took that hat off, it would stand straight up. I don't know how she keeps her hair looking nice all the time by doing that.
Smoking is banned, as is buying alcohol, fast food, or even a takeaway coffee.
Okay, wait. They can't do takeaway coffee, no fast food, no alcohol. They don't really say if that's during the 4 years of school or when you represent yourself as a Norland nanny. I'm not sure, but that's a lot of commitment. Now we're into the uniform and what I can do with my life. I think the education's great, but some of that's maybe too much.
I definitely found the uniform really appealing. I think there's something about wearing this uniform. You know, you represent 125 plus years of heritage, and this uniform means a lot. It means that we're highly trained and we're really passionate about doing what we do.
I totally agree with that, and I get it. So kudos to all the nannies who do it and wear the uniform. I do think it's great. Just for me personally, and probably a lot of the nannies I interview, I know they wouldn't be comfortable in that uniform all the time.
The college wants to attract.
Okay, but I do see them coming out of school there and they don't have uniforms on. So I'm not sure, again, this is a very short video, so I'm not sure when they have to wear the uniform and when they don't, but they look all casual here.
It's more diverse, more international students. Norland is also taking on university status.
Soon we will become Norland University and will be the first specialist early years university in the world.
That would be amazing. Trying to bring on international students, maybe some from Canada and the US, be a university status. I think I said it at the beginning, that's what the nanny profession needs. We need it to be legitimized by an education and a background. It's not just good enough to say, I enjoy working with kids and kids like me, so that's why I do this. It has to be more. You have to have more of an education and more of an understanding of child development, cooking, sewing, all the things they talked about in this video.
But for Freya, becoming a Norland nanny isn't about pay or prestige. It's about a passion for the job.
I want children to learn because they want to. I want them to explore because they want to and be curious about the world. And for me, seeing that is the most rewarding thing ever. That's more rewarding than any paycheck I could ever get. Seeing a child exploring, being curious, wanting to learn, wanting to grow, that's just so incredible.
Best interview answer to a question ever. She's fantastic in how she answers the question, and I'm sure she's been prepped for it in her years of schooling. No question.
Which sounds, for parents who can afford it, practically perfect in every way.
Well, that's it. I wish they went in. I wish we could see more. Honestly, that's just like that tip of the iceberg, and they focus mostly on domestic duties. But I know these nannies get training in how to speak, how to interview, all the child development skills. That's why it's 4 years of schooling. So it's not just what they showed, but I thought it was really interesting. What do you think? Would you pay $20,000 a year to go to school to become a nanny if you could earn upwards of $170,000 a year? Or do you think that just being a nanny and having the background and having years of experience is enough? I'd love to hear from you, and you can let me know. Otherwise, we will see you next Saturday. Have a great week.